The used Discovery dropped out of faster-than-light travel and into chaos. Captain Jake Morrison gripped his chair as the ship shook from nearby explosions. On the main screen, he saw something that made his blood run cold. The alien fleet was under attack. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy weapons fire," reported Lieutenant Kelly Ryan from the navigation station. "But sir, the attacking ships look just like the refugee ships." Jake studied the battle. She was right. The ships firing on the fleet looked exactly like the Corvanian vessels they had come to help, but something was wrong with them. Their hulls were covered in black, twisted metal that seemed to move on its own. "Those must be infected ships," Jake said. "Ships that fell to the void rot." Dr. Amanda Wells, the ship's science officer, looked up from her instruments. "Captain, I'm detecting some kind of biomechanical virus in those attacking vessels. It's unlike anything in our databases." "How many attacking ships?" Jake asked. 12, sir. "But the refugee fleet has over 100 ships." "Why aren't they fighting back better?" Jake watched the battle more closely. The refugee ships were firing their weapons, but they seemed afraid to get too close. Every time they destroyed one of the infected ships, pieces of debris would float toward them, and they would retreat. "They're afraid of the debris," Jake realized. "The infection must spread through contact." On the communication channel, alien voices were shouting in panic. The computer was translating as fast as it could. "Fall back. Don't let the debris touch. U.S., we've lost Ship 17. The infection is spreading. We can't fight them. Every time we destroy one, the pieces try to infect us." Jake made a decision. "Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Weapons online." "Sir?" His first officer, Commander Ryan Torres, looked confused. "We're going to fight? We're going to show them how humans fight. Kelly, take us toward the infected ships. Amanda, I need you to scan those things and tell me how this infection spreads." "Captain, this is very dangerous," Dr. Wells warned. "If we get infected, we won't. Trust me." The Discovery charged toward the battle. The infected ships noticed the new arrival and turned some of their attention to the human vessel. Dark energy beams lanced out toward them. "Shields holding," Torres reported, "but those weapons are powerful. Fire photon torpedoes, full spread, target the lead infected ship." The torpedoes streaked through space and slammed into the infected vessel. The explosion was massive. But instead of celebrating, Jake watched carefully as the debris spread out from the explosion. "Kelly, back us away, fast. Amanda, are you getting readings on that debris?" "Yes, sir." "The debris is still alive somehow. It's trying to reach other ships to spread the infection." Jake nodded. He had an idea. "Prepare nuclear warheads. Maximum yield." Torres looked shocked. "Sir, nuclear weapons are banned by the Galactic Treaty. They're considered too primitive and dangerous." "Sometimes primitive is exactly what you need. Fire the nukes at the debris field. Don't hit the debris directly. Detonate them close enough to vaporize everything." The nuclear warheads exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The intense heat and radiation completely destroyed the infected debris. Nothing was left to spread the infection. On the communication channels, the alien voices had gone quiet. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Discovery." Jake broadcast. "Can you hear us?" A new voice answered. It sounded tired but strong. "This is Commander Zex Thigh of the Corvanian Republic. Human ship, what are you doing here? We received your distress call. We're here to help. You just used nuclear weapons." "The Galactic Council forbids such weapons," Jake smiled. "The Galactic Council isn't here right now." "We are, and those weapons just saved your ships from infection." There was a long pause. Then Commander Zexthai spoke again. "You destroyed the infected debris completely. No one has ever done that before. Every other species tries to contain the infection or study it. You just destroyed it." "Sometimes the best solution is the simple one," Jake said. "Can we come aboard your ship? We need to talk." "Human captain, you don't understand. We are infected. Our entire fleet carries the void rot. If you come near us, you will die." Dr. Wells had been studying her readings. She looked up at Jake with excitement. Captain, I don't think that's true. The infection seems to target advanced alien technology. Our systems are too primitive for it to recognize as technology, Jake raised an eyebrow. Are you saying our old-fashioned Earth technology is too simple for an advanced alien virus? Exactly. It's looking for quantum processors and energy-based systems. We use chemical reactions and basic electronics. To the virus, we probably look like rocks. Commander Torres laughed. So being primitive finally pays off. Jake opened the communication channel again. Commander HFY, we believe our technology is immune to your infection. We're coming over. No, you don't understand the risk. We understand perfectly. Sometimes you have to take risks to help people. The Discovery moved carefully toward the Corvanian command ship. As they got closer, Jake could see the damage. The alien ship was huge, maybe 10 times the size of his vessel. But it looked tired. Its hull was patched and repatched. Its lights were dim. Docking bay is opening, Kelly reported. They're letting us in. The Discovery settled into the alien docking bay. Jake looked around at his senior staff. Okay, people. We're about to make first contact with a refugee fleet carrying 3 million aliens. Let's try not to mess this up. Dr. Wells grabbed her medical kit and scanning equipment. I want to study this virus. If we can understand how it works, maybe we can stop it. Engineer Torres picked up his toolkit. I want to see their technology. Maybe we can help fix their ships. Good, Kelly, you're with me. We're going to meet their commander. They put on their environmental suits and walked through the airlock. The alien ship's corridors were wide and tall, designed for beings larger than humans. The walls glowed with a soft blue light, but many of the light panels were dark or flickering. Aliens moved through the corridors. They were tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large eyes. When they saw the humans, they stopped and stared. Most looked surprised. Some looked hopeful. Commander HFY was waiting for them in what looked like a meeting room. He was taller than the other aliens, with scars on his face and arms. His uniform was torn and patched. So you are humans, he said through a translation device. You look smaller than I expected. We may be small, but we're here, Jake replied, and we're going to help you. Human Captain, you still don't understand. We have been running for 8 months. 12 worlds are dead. Every species we meet either runs from us or tries to destroy us. The void rot cannot be stopped. Dr. Wells stepped forward. Commander, we've been studying the infection from our ship. We think we know why no one has been able to stop it. Tell me. The virus targets advanced technology. The more advanced your systems, the faster it spreads. But our technology is primitive by galactic standards. The virus can't recognize it as technology worth infecting. Commander HFY stared at her. You're saying your primitive technology is an advantage? Exactly, and that gives us ideas about how to fight this thing. For the first time in months, Commander HFY smiled. Perhaps there is hope after all. Dr. Amanda Wells sat in the Corvanian science lab, surrounded by alien technology she could barely understand. But the more she studied the void rot, the more she realized why every advanced species had failed to stop it. This is incredible, she said to her assistant, Dr. Matt Collins, who had beamed over from the Discovery. The virus doesn't just infect technology. It uses the technology against itself. Commander HFY and his chief scientist, Dr. Kolvek, watched the humans work. The alien scientist looked frustrated. We have been studying this infection for months. Our best minds have found nothing. Amanda looked up from her scanner. That's because you've been thinking like advanced civilizations. This virus was designed to target advanced civilizations. What do you mean? Dr. Kolvek asked. Matt pulled up a display on his portable computer. The aliens gathered around to look. See, your technology uses quantum entanglement for communication and data transfer. The virus hijacks those quantum connections. Every time your computers talk to each other, the virus spreads, Amanda continued. The more connected your systems are, the faster it spreads. Your advanced technology is actually helping the virus. Commander HFY looked shocked. But quantum entanglement is the foundation of all galactic technology. Without it, we would be back to primitive radio waves and basic computers. Exactly, Amanda said with a smile, and that's why we can help you. Meanwhile, on another part of the ship, engineer Ryan Torres was working with the Corvanian chief engineer, Nalvek. The alien engineer was 3 times taller than Torres, but he was amazed by the human's simple solutions. You want to disconnect our main computer systems? Nalvek asked. Not permanently, Torres explained, holding up a bundle of cables. We create physical barriers between infected and clean systems. If the virus can't jump through quantum entanglement, it has to travel through physical connections. We can control physical connections. But how do we operate the ship without computer integration? Torres grinned. The same way humans operated ships for hundreds of years, manual controls, backup systems, multiple redundancies. He showed Nalvek a simple switch. See this? It's a physical cutoff switch. When you flip it, power stops. No quantum communication, no network connection. The virus can't cross a physical gap in the power line. This is so primitive, Nalvek said, but he sounded impressed rather than insulting. Sometimes primitive works better. On the bridge of the Discovery, Captain Jake Morrison was talking with Admiral Lisa Parker through a quantum communication link. The Admiral looked worried. Jake, the Galactic Council is sending messages to Earth. They want you to leave that fleet immediately. What? Did you tell them? I told them Earth makes its own decisions about who we help. Admiral Parker smiled grimly. I also reminded them that humans don't abandon people in need. Good, because I think we can actually solve this problem. How? Jake looked at the reports coming in from his team. The virus targets advanced technology. But our technology is primitive enough that the virus ignores it. We can use our systems to create safe zones and barriers. That sounds dangerous, Jake. It is, but doing nothing is more dangerous. These people will die if we don't help them. Admiral Parker was quiet for a moment. What do you need? Send more ships, but only volunteers. And bring our best engineers and scientists. We're going to need all the primitive human technology we can get. Back in the lab, Dr. Wells had made a breakthrough. She called everyone together to share her discovery. I figured out how the virus spreads through ships, she announced. It doesn't just use quantum entanglement. It also spreads through energy fields. Every advanced alien ship uses energy shields and force fields. The virus travels along those energy patterns. So how do we stop it? Commander XFY asked. We use physical barriers instead of energy barriers, Dr. Collins said. Metal walls. Plastic barriers, things the virus can't travel through. Doctor. Kolvek looked confused. But physical barriers are so inefficient. They add weight, they limit space. But they work, Amanda said. And right now, working is more important than efficient. Engineer Torres spoke up from his workstation. I've been designing isolation chambers using human materials. Steel walls lined with rubber. No electronic connections. No energy fields, just solid barriers. We can retrofit your ships, Jake added. Create safe zones where the virus can't spread. Use manual controls instead of computer systems for critical functions. This would mean giving up most of our advanced technology, Commander XFY said slowly. Temporarily, Amanda said. Once we stop the virus, you can rebuild with better protections. And what about infected areas of our ships? Jake's expression became serious. We destroy them. Completely. No trying to save equipment or data. If a section is infected, we cut it away and blast it into space. Then we use nuclear weapons to vaporize the debris. The aliens looked shocked at the brutality of the solution. I know it sounds harsh, Jake continued, but the virus can't survive. Complete destruction. We've tested this. Dr. Kolvek studied the human proposals. These solutions are so simple, so crude, but... He paused, thinking. But they address the virus in ways we never considered. That's because you're all too advanced, Torres said, with a laugh. Sometimes you need a primitive mind to solve an advanced problem. Commander XFY made a decision. We will try your methods. What do you need from us? Complete access to your ships, Jake said, and trust. This is going to feel like we're destroying your technology instead of saving it. We will also need volunteers, Amanda added. People willing to work in the isolation chambers while we modify your ships. And we need your people to learn manual backup procedures, Torres said. No more relying on computers for everything. Commander HFY looked around at his officers. They all nodded. Double quotes, very well, humans. We place our fleet in your hands. Over the next several hours, teams of humans and aliens worked together throughout the fleet. They installed physical barriers, created isolation chambers, and set up manual control systems. It was slow, difficult work. Many of the aliens struggled with the primitive methods. They were used to thinking commands and having computers respond instantly. Now they had to flip switches and turn wheels manually, but it worked. Ship by ship, they created clean zones protected from the virus. When they found infected sections, they followed the brutal human solution, cut it away and destroy it completely. The aliens watched in amazement as sections of their own ships were blown apart and vaporized. It felt wrong to destroy so much advanced technology. But for the first time in months, the virus wasn't spreading. It's working, Dr. Kolvek reported. The infection rate has dropped to 0 in the modified sections. Good, Jake said. Now we need to think about the next step. What next step? Commander HFY asked. We can't run forever. Eventually, we need to find the source of this virus and destroy it. The alien commander looked surprised. You want to attack the source? Every species that has tried that has been destroyed. Jake smiled. Every species that tried was using advanced technology. They were fighting the virus on its terms. We're going to fight it on our terms. With primitive weapons and simple tactics? With human weapons and human tactics, Jake corrected. There's a difference. Commander HFY looked at this small human who had already done the impossible. Maybe, just maybe, these primitive aliens could do what no advanced civilization had managed. Maybe they could actually win. Commander HFY stared at the dying screens in his command center. Red lights blinked everywhere. Warning sounds filled the air. His ship was falling apart around him, just like the rest of his fleet. How many ships do we have left? He asked. His second officer, 143, sir. We lost 2 more yesterday. HFY closed his eyes. When they started running 8 months ago, they had 200 ships. Each ship carried thousands of refugees from 12 different worlds. All those worlds were gone now, dead, eaten by the thing they called the void rot. The void rot was like nothing anyone had ever seen before. It was part virus, part machine. It ate through both living things and technology. Once it touched something, that thing was doomed. The infection spread fast. Very fast. Sir, the engines on Ship 47 are failing, another officer reported. Move. Everyone to the other ships? HFY ordered. Then destroy Ship 47 before the rot spreads. He hated giving that order, but he had given it so many times now. Every few days, another ship would show signs of infection. They would move the people and blow up the ship. It was the only way to stop the spread. HFY walked to the big window that showed space around them. Out there, he could see the other ships in his fleet. They looked tired. Their hulls were patched and repatched. Their lights were dim. They were all running on backup power now. 3 million people depended on him. 3 million souls from 12 dead worlds. He was supposed to keep them safe. But where could they go? Every world they approached turned them away. Every species they met ran from them in fear. The Galactic Council had declared them a threat. No one was allowed to help them. The void rot was too dangerous, too deadly. Better to let the Corvanians die than risk it spreading to other worlds. Sir, should we send another distress call? His communications officer asked. HFY had been thinking about this for days. They had sent hundreds of distress calls. No one ever answered. No one wanted to risk getting close to them. But maybe, just maybe, someone would listen. Yes, he said, send it on all frequencies. Make it reach every corner of the galaxy. The communications officer nodded and began working. SciFi watched him prepare the message. What should he say? How do you ask for help when everyone is afraid of you? Ready, sir? Send this message, SciFi began, to any ship or world that receives this. We are the survivors of 12 worlds destroyed by the void rot plague. We carry 3 million refugees. Our ships are failing. We need help. We need supplies. We need a safe place to go. We understand the risk. But we are people. We have children. We have families. Someone, please help us. The message went out into space. It would travel faster than light, reaching every part of the galaxy. Maybe someone would hear it. Maybe someone would care. Far away on Earth, Captain. Jake Morrison was drinking coffee in his ready room. His ship, the UES Discovery, was patrolling near the edge of human space. Earth was still new to this whole galactic community thing. They had only made contact with aliens 5 years ago. Most aliens thought humans were primitive. Their technology was old and simple compared to other species, but humans were curious. They wanted to explore. They wanted to help. Jake's communication officer knocked on his door. Captain, we're getting a strange signal. It's a distress call, but it's coming from really far away. Jake followed him to the bridge. Put it on the speakers. The alien voice filled the bridge. The computer translated it into English. Jake listened to the whole message. When it ended, the bridge was quiet. Sir, should we report this to Earth Command? His first officer asked. Jake thought about it. The Galactic Council had rules about these things. Humans were supposed to follow those rules, but this was different. These were people asking for help. Real people with families and children. Get me Admiral Lisa Parker at Earth Command, Jake said. It took a few minutes to establish the connection. Admiral Parker appeared on the main screen. She was a tough woman who had commanded ships longer than Jake had been alive. Captain Morrison, what can I do for you? Admiral, we just received a distress call from an alien fleet. They're refugees running from something called the Void Rot. They need help. Admiral Parker frowned. The Galactic Council has issued warnings. About this fleet, they're considered dangerous. We're supposed to stay away, but they're just people, Admiral. Scared people with nowhere to go. Jake, I understand how you feel, but we can't risk bringing this plague to Earth. We have 8 billion people to protect. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was listening. He could see they felt the same way he did. Someone needed to help these aliens. What if we could help them without bringing them to Earth? What if we could find a way to stop this plague? Admiral Parker was quiet for a long moment. You think we can do something that advanced alien civilizations couldn't? Maybe we think differently than they do. Our technology is different. Maybe that's what they need. Admiral Parker sighed. Jake, this is dangerous. If you're wrong, you could doom your entire crew. If we're right, we could save 3 million lives. Another long pause. Jake held his breath. All right, Captain. You have permission to investigate. But you take only volunteers. And if this goes bad, you run? Do you understand me? Yes, Admiral. Thank you. Jake turned to his crew. You heard the Admiral. This is dangerous. Anyone who wants to transfer off my ship can do so now. No questions asked. No one moved. His navigator, Kelly Ryan, spoke up. Sir, where do we go to help these people? Jake smiled. He was proud of his crew. Set course for the coordinates in that distress call, and send a message back to the alien fleet. Tell them help is coming. The UES Discovery turned and jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind them, Earth got smaller and smaller. Ahead of them was the unknown. Jake didn't know what they would find, but he knew they had to try. In space, there are no borders, no walls. When someone calls for help, you answer. That's what humans do. That's who they are? The Discovery raced through space toward the dying alien fleet. Captain Morrison sat in his chair and hoped they weren't too late. 3 days after the humans arrived, the alien fleet looked completely different. Ships that had been dying were now stable. The virus had stopped spreading. But the real changes were in how the aliens thought about problems. Captain Jake Morrison stood in what used to be the main computer center of Commander HFY's flagship. Now it was a manual control room filled with switches, levers, and mechanical displays. Alien crew members were learning to operate their ship by hand instead of by thought. "This feels so strange," said Lieutenant Veltar, a young Corvanian officer. "Everything takes so much longer." "But it works," replied Chief Engineer Torres, who was teaching the aliens human engineering methods. "And the virus can't touch it?" Dr. Amanda Wells had set up a research station in one of the isolation chambers. She was working with Dr. Kolvek to understand not just how the virus worked, but why it existed at all. "I've been analyzing the virus structure," she told the gathered officers. "This wasn't created by accident. Someone made this deliberately." "A weapon?" Commander HFY asked. "More than that. It's like a test. The virus only targets species that have reached a certain level of technological advancement. It's designed to destroy civilizations that become too dependent on complex technology." Dr. Kolvek studied her data. "Are you suggesting someone is deliberately testing spacefaring species?" "That's exactly what I'm suggesting. And I think we can use that knowledge." Meanwhile, Engineer Torres was solving problems that had puzzled the aliens for months. In the engine room, he worked with Chief Engineer Nalvek to create backup systems for everything. "Your fusion reactors are incredibly advanced," Torres said, looking at the alien power systems. "But they're also incredibly complex. When one part fails, everything fails. How do humans handle this problem?" Torres showed him a simple diagram. Redundancy. We have backup systems for our backup systems. If the main reactor fails, we switch to backup power. If that fails, we switch to emergency batteries. If those fail, we have manual hand cranks. Nalvek looked shocked. "Hand cranks? For a spaceship? For life support systems, yes? When your life depends on something, you need multiple ways to make it work. But that's so inefficient." "Inefficient but reliable?" "Your advanced systems are elegant and efficient. But when they fail completely. Our systems are clunky and use more power. But they keep working even when parts break." As Torres spoke, he was installing physical circuit breakers throughout the alien ship. These simple switches could cut power to any section instantly, stopping the virus from spreading through the electrical systems. "These circuit breakers are thousands of years old in human technology," Torres explained. "But they still work. When you flip this switch, power stops. The virus can't cross a physical gap." Dr. Wells had made another important discovery. She called Captain Morrison to her lab to see it. "Jake, I've figured out why no advanced species has ever beaten this virus. They all try to fight it with technology. And that doesn't work? Worse than that. Fighting the virus with advanced technology actually makes it stronger. Every time someone uses quantum computers or energy weapons against it, the virus learns and adapts." Morrison studied her findings. "So the more advanced the attack, the stronger the virus becomes?" "Exactly. That's why every galactic civilization that encounters it gets destroyed. They try to out-tech the virus, and the virus just gets smarter. But our primitive attacks work because the virus doesn't recognize them as technology." "Right, to the virus, our nuclear weapons and simple electronics look like natural phenomena. It doesn't try to adapt to them." This gave Morrison an idea. What if we could make the aliens fight like humans? Use simple tactics and primitive weapons? That would go against everything they believe about warfare. Then we need to teach them new beliefs. Colonel Steve Brooks had arrived on one of the support ships from Earth. He was a Marine who specialized in small unit tactics and close-quarters combat. When he saw how the aliens fought, he was amazed. "You stand in neat formations and shoot energy beams at each other?" he asked Commander HFY. "Yes, it is the civilized way of warfare. Honor demands that we face our enemies directly." "That's great for honor, but terrible for survival. Let me show you something." Brooks demonstrated human combat tactics. He showed them how to take cover, how to move through dangerous areas, and how to attack from unexpected directions. "This is called guerrilla warfare," he explained. "You don't fight fair. You fight to win." The alien officers looked uncomfortable. This seems dishonorable. Would you rather be honorable or alive? Brooks asked bluntly. Because right now, your honor is getting your people killed. Brooks also introduced them to the concept of acceptable losses. This was the hardest lesson for the aliens to learn. You can't save everyone, he told them. Sometimes you have to sacrifice one ship to save 10 ships. Sometimes you have to abandon a position to win the war. But those are our people, Commander ZXY protested. We don't abandon our people. You're not abandoning them. You're making hard choices to save as many as possible. If you try to save everyone, you'll lose everyone. This idea was foreign to Corvanian culture, but they were starting to understand its necessity. Navigator Kelly Ryan was working with the alien navigation officers to plan escape routes and defensive positions. The aliens had always relied on computer calculations for everything. Now they were learning to think tactically. Don't just plot the fastest course, she told them. Plot the course that gives you the most options. Always have 3 ways out of any situation. But the fastest course is the most efficient. Efficient doesn't matter if you're dead. What matters is having choices when things go wrong. Dr. Wells made another breakthrough in her research. She discovered that the virus had a weakness that no one had found before. The virus adapts to advanced technology, but it can't adapt to random changes, she announced to the command staff. What do you mean? Morrison asked. Advanced technology is predictable. Computers always do the same thing in the same situation. But humans are unpredictable. We make random decisions. We change our minds. We do illogical things. And the virus can't adapt to that? Right, it's designed to learn patterns and counter them. But human behavior doesn't follow patterns. This led to a new strategy. Instead of using programmed tactics, they would use human improvisation. We'll train your people to make tactical decisions on the spot, Colonel Brooks explained. No predetermined battle plans. No computer-calculated responses, just humans making choices in real time. Commander ZXY struggled with this concept. But how do we coordinate without predetermined plans? Communication and trust, Morrison said. Your people talk to each other and trust each other to make good decisions. That sounds chaotic. It is chaotic. That's what makes it work. As the days passed, the alien fleet began to change in fundamental ways. The crew members were learning to think like humans. They were using primitive technology, manual controls, and improvised tactics. Most importantly, they were learning to be unpredictable. I have a proposal, Morrison told Commander ZXY during one of their planning sessions. What is it? Instead of running from the virus source, we go after it. We track down whatever is creating these infected ships and we destroy it. That would be suicide. Every species that has tried that has been destroyed. Every species that tried was fighting on the virus's terms. We fight on our terms. Morrison pulled up a tactical display. We use human ships as the main attack force. Our primitive technology can get close to the source without being detected or adapted to. Your ships provide support and backup. And if you're wrong, then we're all dead anyway. But if we're right, we save not just your people, but every species in the galaxy. Commander ZXY looked around at his officers. They had all changed. In the past few days, they were thinking differently, fighting differently, surviving differently. Very well, Captain Morrison. We will follow human tactics. May your gods protect us all. Our gods help those who help themselves, Morrison replied. And we're about to help ourselves to a victory. The combined fleet moved through space like nothing the galaxy had ever seen before. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels, but they weren't just traveling together. They were thinking together. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Discovery, studying the readings from their long-range sensors. They had been following the trail of infected ships for 2 weeks, and now they were getting close to the source. Captain, we're detecting massive energy readings ahead, reported Navigator Kelly Ryan. Whatever is creating the void rot, it's big. Dr. Amanda Wells looked up from her science station. I'm reading artificial structures. This isn't a natural phenomenon. Someone built this. Commander Zexthias' voice came through the communication system from his flagship. Human Captain, my sensors show the same thing. We are approaching what appears to be an ancient space station. How ancient? Morrison asked. Our dating method suggests it has been here for over 50,000 years. Dr. Wells felt a chill run down her spine. A 50,000-year-old automated weapons platform, that would explain a lot. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. What they found there made everyone stop talking. The space station was enormous. It was easily 10 times larger than the biggest ship in the Corvanian fleet. But it didn't look like any space station they had ever seen. It was covered in the same black, twisted metal as the infected ships, and it was clearly alive. It's not just a space station, Dr. Wells breathed. It's the source of the virus. The whole thing is one giant virus factory. How many infected ships are protecting it? Colonel Brooks asked from his battle station. Lieutenant Ryan counted the readings. Over 200 infected vessels, all different types. Some look Corvanian, some look like other species I don't recognize. 50,000 years of destroying civilizations, Commander Zexthai said grimly. 200 species worth of dead. Ships, Morrison made a decision. All human ships move to attack formation. Corvanian vessels, support positions only. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Captain, Dr. Wells called out, I'm detecting some kind of scanning beam from the station. It's trying to analyze our ships. Let it scan. Our technology is too primitive for it to understand. On his own ship, Engineer Torres was monitoring the scans. The station is definitely confused by our technology. It keeps scanning us over and over like it can't figure out what we are. The infected ships began moving toward the combined fleet, but their movement was strange. They approached the Corvanian ships aggressively, but they seemed almost to ignore the human vessels. The station doesn't recognize us as a threat, Morrison realized. To something that advanced, we look like space debris. Should we attack now? Colonel Brooks asked. Not yet. Let's see what happens when they get closer. The infected ships opened fire on the Corvanian vessels. Energy beams lanced through space. But the aliens were ready. They had learned human tactics. Instead of standing and fighting in formation, they scattered and took evasive action. Corvanian ships, remember your training, Morrison broadcast. No patterns. No predictable movements. Make every decision randomly. Commander Zexthias' ship spun and dove, avoiding the enemy fire. His gunners returned fire, but they aimed for the infected ship's engines instead of trying to destroy them completely. Disable them, don't destroy them, Torres had taught them. Debris spreads infection, disabled ships just float. The human ships moved through the battle almost invisible to the infected vessels. When they were finally close enough to the station, Morrison gave the order. All human ships, fire nuclear. Weapons at the station's main structure, full spread. Nuclear warheads streaked through space and slammed into the ancient station. The explosions were massive, but the station absorbed them like they were nothing. Our weapons aren't even scratching it, Kelly Ryan reported. Dr. Wells studied her readings. The station has some kind of adaptive defense system. It's learning from each attack and becoming immune to it. So if we fire again, it won't work? Worse than that. If we fire the same weapons again, it might be able to copy them and use them against us, Morrison thought quickly. What if we don't fire the same weapons? What if every attack is completely different? That might work. But we'd need weapons that are completely random and unpredictable. Engineer Torres spoke up from his station. Captain, what if we don't use weapons at all? What do you mean? The station expects weapons. It's designed to defend against weapons. But what if we attack it with something that isn't a weapon? Morrison was intrigued. Like what? Like an asteroid? Or space debris? Or even one of our own ships? The idea was crazy, but it might work. The station was designed to defend against advanced weapons, not against simple impacts. Torres, can you rig one of our shuttles to fly itself into the station? Already. Working on it, sir. While Torres prepared his improvised missile, the battle around them continued. The Corvanian ships were holding their own using human tactics, but they were outnumbered. Commander Zexthai, how are your ships holding up? Morrison asked. We are managing, but we cannot continue this forever. Too many enemy ships. Dr. Wells had been studying the station more closely. Jake, I think I know what this thing is. It's not just a weapons platform, it's a test. A test for what? For spacefaring civilizations. It's designed to destroy any species that becomes too dependent on advanced technology. So it's some kind of galactic trial? Exactly. And I think I know how to beat it, Morrison turned to her. How? We prove that we can survive without advanced technology. We show it that we've learned the lesson it's trying to teach. And how do we do that? Dr. Wells smiled. By doing exactly what we've been doing. Fighting with primitive weapons and human tactics. Torres reported that his shuttle was ready, loaded with conventional explosives and set to fly on a random course. The station won't be able to predict where it's going because even we don't know where it's going. Launch it. The unmanned shuttle flew toward the station on a completely random path. It spun and tumbled, changing direction unpredictably. The station's defenses tried to track it, but they couldn't predict its movement. The shuttle slammed into the station and exploded. This time, the explosion seemed to hurt it. Part of the black twisted metal fell away, revealing the original structure. Underneath, it worked, Dr. Wells shouted. The station can't defend against truly random attacks. All ships prepare random projectiles, Morrison ordered. Anything that moves unpredictably. Rocks, debris, damaged equipment, fire everything in random patterns. The human ships began launching every piece of junk they could find. Old equipment. Spare parts, even garbage. Each projectile followed a different, unpredictable path. The ancient station's defenses couldn't cope with the chaos. Its systems were designed to analyze and counter sophisticated attacks, not random junk flying in all directions. As more projectiles hit the station, more of its outer shell fell away. And something unexpected happened. A voice spoke across all. Communication channels? Stop, the voice said. It was calm and ancient. You have passed the test. The infected ships suddenly stopped fighting. They just floated in space, motionless. I am the Arbiter, the voice continued. I was created by the first civilization to test younger species. You are the first to understand the lesson. What lesson? Morrison asked. That advanced technology must be balanced with primitive wisdom. That progress without humility leads to destruction. You have shown that a species can be advanced without losing the ability to think simply. Dr. Wells leaned forward. The void rot was designed to destroy civilizations that became too dependent on their technology? Yes, every species that encountered me tried to defeat me with more advanced weapons, more complex strategies. They all failed because they had forgotten how to think in simple terms. But we never forgot, Morrison said. Because you never had advanced technology to begin with. And when you gained it, you remembered to keep your simple ways as well. The Arbiter's voice grew warmer. The test is complete. The void rot will spread no more. The infected ships will be cleansed. You have proven that intelligence and technology can coexist with wisdom and humility. Commander Zexthai's voice joined the conversation. Does this mean my people are safe? All species are safe now. The testing period is over. But remember what you have learned. Keep your human allies close. They have much to teach the galaxy. As they watched, the black infection began falling away from all the ships around the station. Underneath, they could see the original vessels from dozens of different species. Clean and whole. Welcome to the next phase of galactic civilization, the Arbiter said. May you use your knowledge wisely. The ancient station began to change, transforming from a weapons platform into something that looked like a research facility. Morrison smiled as he looked around at his crew. Humans had found their place in the galaxy not as the most advanced species, but as the one that remembered how to keep things simple. Sometimes the best solution really was the primitive one.